What's going on, everybody? Mortem here, this time bringing you an early preview of Tactics Ogre Reborn. This is, of course, the remaster of the much beloved classic Tactics Ogre Let Us Cling Together, which was originally a 1995 release. And people have been asking me to check it out quite a bit ahead of its November launch, and Square Enix was nice enough to reach out recently and offer me an early look at the game, which is of course what we are discussing right now. However, this preview does come with some restrictions on what I'm allowed to show. For instance, you're only going to see stuff from Chapter 1 here. However, I will be doing a review for the game, but I'm not allowed to discuss when that's going to go live yet. However, when we get to that point, we'll discuss the game in a more detailed fashion, as this is just an early preview. So, Tactics Ogre Reborn is an interesting title to even cover as a preview because there's a lot going on with it. And that is because, as I've already mentioned, this is a follow-up to a 1995 release that has already seen one remake, really, for the PSP, actually, back in 2011. And now, here in 2022, we're seeing another release. But for those who are unaware, Tactics Ogre is kind of one of the pillars of the TRPG or SRPG style of game, that is to say, tactical strategic gameplay, so it is turn-based tactical combat. And in many ways, this game is considered one of the hallmarks of what a great version of this game is. That said, though, the sort of middle ground between a remake and a remaster that we're looking at here does change a few things in order to make the game flow a little better, frankly. And we'll get into some of the details and basics of all this here in just a moment. But first up, I do want to mention sort of what the story's about and how it can vary a little bit. Nothing here is really what I'd consider spoilers, and it's not going to be anything past Chapter 1 by any means, outside of very common knowledge types of things. Because this game's story is already pretty well known. You can go look it up right now if you really want to. But basically, we play the role of a band of heroes that joins up with the ruler of their clan in order to sort of persevere in the face of a nation that has been torn apart by war. As the story itself takes place on the Valerian Isles. However, this land has recently seen a civil war. You start as characters who are playing on the losing side. And naturally, as the game begins, we attempt to put an end to all of this war, and you will have some say-so in how that actually turns out. If you're unaware, one of the things Tactics Ogre is really well known for is the branching story. And while we're not going to go into detail there, this is a game that I believe had something like 8 endings in the original version. So it's not a linear story, though you will be playing as set characters for the most part. However, when it comes to your team setup, you'll be able to hire and recruit all sorts of classes of characters to take part in the turn-based combat, meaning that you'll be able to pretty fully customize your battle groups and approach it more or less however you want. Now, this is where the game has done quite a bit in terms of making the game flow a little better. So first and foremost, they've made a lot of changes to how your units develop. There used to be a lot of restrictions around the types of equipment you could use, skills they could equip, that type of stuff. Well, a lot of that's pretty simple. You can use most everything you find right out of the gate. However, there are still a few restrictions in place, like not everybody can use magic, that type of stuff. But they did ease up on the restrictions here quite a bit, and they've also adjusted skills as well. Skills are something that each character can equip 4 of. However, they have added several here, as well as retuning the effects of others, in addition to adding things that are a little more modern, such as the pincer attack, meaning that if an enemy is flanked and you attack it, the character on the other side will also attack the enemy one time. They've also made adjustments to finishing moves. These used to run off of what are called technical points, or TP. Tactics Ogre Reborn has seen a lot of that simply relegated to magic points, or MP. So you don't have to worry about that third separate bar to use your abilities, which makes using them a little easier, or simpler anyway. They've also added in charms. Charms are new items. They will do a variety of things, such as just straight up give your characters more experience, permanently increase stats, or change that unit's element to another. All units have an element associated with them which determines some things that they're weak or resistant to, and you can just change that freely now. They've also significantly updated enemy AI, as well as the AI of your own team. So the characters that are on your team but you don't directly control will also behave a little more appropriately. And that's just to name a handful of changes. There are really many others that are, again, all kind of aimed at making this a bit more playable in today's age while retaining the core of the gameplay. And the core gameplay of this particular game is, of course, that of turn-based tactical combat, which the game does very well. During combat, every character gets a move and an action, and what each individual unit can do is determined by its class. You can actually change characters' classes, though, by finding class marks, which are an item that just sets that character to a different class, and this is not really restricted in any way outside of getting the item to do so. So your level doesn't reset or anything, you just become a class of that exact same level you already were, so you can switch pretty seamlessly right over to the new thing. But there are many classes to choose from, some are better in certain situations. You can recruit and hire mercenaries, effectively I suppose, to kind of fill out your party any which way you please. All of those party members can be customized in a variety of ways with the equipment, the revamped skill system, and all of these things together combine to make a very deep system that allows you to change and control just about every aspect of combat, which can make for some very rewarding combat encounters. Now, given that this is just an early preview of the game, I think that is where we will leave it today, as that's pretty much what I'm allowed to show you at this point, and any more detail would be going over the very specific changes that have been made, which I'll probably save more for the actual review. But my initial thoughts on this preview are that it's looking very good. I've had a lot of fun playing it so far. The core of the game is still what it was, while still updating it for a modern audience who might be enjoying this game for the first time. And given its illustrious history as a pillar of TRPGs, I think that's pretty cool. But all of that said, certainly hope you enjoyed this early preview of the game. Hope you're looking forward to the review. If you did, like, comment, subscribe, stick around. But regardless of all that, truly, thank you so much for watching. I really do appreciate it. May you wander in wisdom and have an amazing day.